Dad, my sitting here today in the U.S. Capitol talking to our elected officials is proof that you made the right decision 40 years ago to leave the Soviet Union and come here to the United States of America in search of a better life for our family. Do not worry, I'll be fine for telling the truth.
And why do you have confidence that you can do that and tell your dad not to worry?
Congressman, because this is America. This is the country I've served and defended, that all of my brothers have served, and here, right matters.
Thank you, sir. Yield back.
And joining me now is retired Army Lieutenant Colonel Alexander Vindman. His new book is called Here, Right Matters, An American Story. It comes out tomorrow. Colonel Vindman, it is an honor to have you here. Thank you for being with us.
Thank you for having me, Ali.
You said there, Here, Right Matters, Dad, I'll be okay. And then you were forced out of your job at the White House. And then you were refused a promotion to full colonel. And you were forced to retire from the Army. Is that okay?
It's not, but that's not why I took the actions I did. I took the actions I did because I saw that there was corruption, and I had a duty to, doesn't make a difference who it was, President of the United States or not, but I had a responsibility to make a correction, to speak to the right people, to see if we could fix the issue.
You knew immediately when that happened that you had to do something. You went directly to your brother's office, who also worked at the White House. And you said to him, if this gets out, the president's going to be impeached. Did the sense of weight and consequence come to you at that time?
Absolutely. I was aware of the import of that moment. I had no idea how it was going to change my life. I knew that there was a significant amount of risk I was taking on my shoulders, and that I had jeopardized my position at the White House. But I also knew that the situation was much, much bigger than me, and that I had sworn an oath to uphold that oath, I had to report what I had observed.
What'd your brother tell you? He worked there too. He knew this was going to come down heavy.
He looked at me. He's my twin brother. He knows me more than just about anybody else in this world, and he immediately recognized the severity of the moment. I quickly told him that we need to go report this to the right authorities. Thinking was very straightforward, that these officials had both a duty like I did, which they unfortunately failed to fulfill, and an access to the president to get him to recognize that he was engaging in a corrupt enterprise. And that's exactly what I did.
So let's go back. You start your book with that phone call, but let's go back to before that, late 2018, early 2019. The president's lawyer, Rudy Giuliani, had been floating this false narrative about Ukraine having been responsible for hacking the 2016 election and trying to get Ukraine to investigate Joe Biden. You write that this, quote, strange political scheme was unimaginably remote from anything I was working on for high-level global U.S. strategy. To use us in the policy community, Giuliani's moves were bewildering, but also at first a lot more noise than signal. People who have read the retrospective reporting have a better sense of what was happening than I or my colleagues could have had at the time or would have necessarily wanted to have. This was really weird. You're a policy expert. You know that part of the world. You speak Ukrainian. You speak Russian. What Giuliani was talking about had nothing to do with anything. It was complete falsehood.
It was a political errand to serve the interests of a corrupt president, a president that was seeking to tip the scales in his favor in an upcoming election. And for me, I probably didn't calculate all that at that very moment. What I did calculate is that this was wrong. This is not the way our system is supposed to work, and that the very foundation of our democracy is based on free and fair elections. And the president was looking to upend that.
And it was completely outlandish. Were you even worried? Because when Giuliani started talking about this, me with my limited sort of understanding of what goes on in that part of the world, even I knew that this was ridiculous.
Right.
Did you just dismiss it as rantings of a...
I did early on, but then Ambassador Yovanovitch was removed from her position, and it started to interfere with the work that we were doing in the White House, including canceling Vice President Pence's participation in the trip. It was basically directly related to the fact that Giuliani wasn't getting the play he needed with the Ukrainian government, and the President Trump pulled the plug to signal that this is where he wanted the Ukrainians to act. He wanted them involved in this investigation.
I want to read another passage where you describe what happened after you first told your brother and how you decided to report it up the chain of command. Once the responsible people up the chain of command, the people with the proper clearances and need to know, learned of the president's actions, we in the broader policy community could act. We could figure out how to advise the president on his gross error in judgment, walk back and cancel his inappropriate demand, and continue to move towards stabilizing relationships and executing a cogent foreign policy. If it was my duty to report the president's misconduct, then it was our collective duty to assess the damage, manage the fallout, have the wayward president's most senior counselors rein him in, and get our jobs done. That was the process I planned to start.
That's exactly right.
Didn't unfold that way entirely.
It didn't. But it culminated in something close to accountability. It culminated way outside of the scope of what I'd consider at the moment, but it certainly unfolded where Congress took action, investigated the president's wrongdoing, and impeached him. And ultimately, the American public did hold the president accountable, even though the Republican leadership at the time didn't. They failed in their responsibility, failed to live up to their oath, but the American public did. For that corruption, for the ineffective management of a pandemic that resulted in some 600,000 deaths, for an economic catastrophe, the American public voted and held the president accountable. And I think that's an example of here right mattering.